Hi there, this is James Galyon, and this is another in the series called Minor Miracles. The lessons, blessings, and miracles that occurred in my life that strengthened my faith in God. That's what this is all about. Well, in my last video, gosh, this is way many months ago, 6, 8 months ago, way back at Easter. Not sure how many months ago that is, but here in 2015, and hadn't made another one. My software for my video cam messed up for some reason. I'm not sure how why, but it wouldn't work, and just a lot of other things went on. Uh, I said it, just wait for my next video for next great big miracles God's going to provide and how He's going to bless us. And, not everything works out the way I plan it. And there's some tough things going on, and I'm going to relate those to you here. But I'm also going to tell you about how God provides when things are tough like this. He doesn't promise that He's going to fix everything perfect for us just because we believe in Him. But He does say that He'll sustain us through it. He'll never give us more than we can actually handle. Uh, Sometimes I think there was a lady called Mother Teresa. Sweet lady, spent her entire life caring for the poor. And she said once, she said, God told me He'd never give me more than I can handle. I just wish He didn't trust me so much. Because sometimes we don't realize, we always think that, man, I can't go any further. But if we keep our faith strong and we just keep on going, God, you're going to have to get me through this. You're going to have to be the one to do it because I can't do it on my own. He wants us to depend on Him. He wants us to do it because we love Him, not just because we're desperate. But hey, if we're desperate, sometimes that happens. Anyway, I'm going to go over the things. Things have been. I'm actually going to get kind of negative here if you want to hear about it. I'm going to go and tell you about things, how bad things got, so to speak, if you want to call them bad. But, like I said, my video camera broke. I hadn't been able to make any more videos for a while. And during these last many months, our car broke down. I'd been driving this little rusty roller skate of a car for many years. It's an 82 Toyota Tercel, and it's gotten dangerous to drive because it leaks gas and so bad that the muffler system gets so hot it melts the carpet in the car. I've been told not to drive, it's going to burst into flames, better watch out. So it wasn't anything we could go any more than maybe a mile down the road and back in. And it really wouldn't dare safe for me to take my wife anywhere in. And so really had nothing to go to the doctor in, even we could get a doctor. But I had no license. My driver's license was expired because my glasses that I had at the time were so old. Gosh, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. I don't remember how old they were, but they were falling apart. The lenses were so bad I didn't know. I was unsure if I could even see good enough to renew my driver's license. And it was expired, so I'm driving around in a car with no inspection sticker, just to the street. I'd go just across the street and back to the store, but I had no inspection, no registration. I had no driver's license. And if I'd have been paying for the tickets for the next decade if I got pulled over. So I only drove it at 2 o'clock in the morning across the street, push start it down the driveway, jump into it. Me getting in that car looked like a sardine trying to crawl back into a can. A little bitty car, jump in there, start it up, go across the street, get some groceries, stand around in the parking lot with jumper cables like this and begging for a ride, somebody to help me get my car started to get home. And we've been praying, God, please provide a mechanic to fix this thing. Well, that wasn't the only thing going wrong. My wife was getting worse and worse. She needed a lot of different prescriptions. One of the things that happened was we had a source we've been buying insulin from since we couldn't afford to buy it through the Affordable Health Care Act, the Obamacare. You had to satisfy, for the family, you had to satisfy $1,500 worth of money up front, paying stuff before this thing was going to pay anything. So we could never afford that, couldn't use the insurance. Then you had it for over a year, hadn't been able to use it. All these things sound pretty bad, But we had needed badly to get her prescriptions. Most she'd been without having any for a good 5 years. We were getting the insulin from a lady off Craigslist who had a diabetic husband and daughter. But then things took actually a turn for the worst again, because they had told, the doctors had told this lady that her husband needed a heart transplant. And then they also told him that, well, when she went to try to get the insurance and stuff to pay for it and go around trying to find a heart for her husband, said that they told him that, well, you're not actually worth giving one to because you're too sick on other ways. And so basically just go home and die. Yeah, good old caring places. But anyway, unfortunately, he did. Several months later, he passed away. And so that kind of threw her into a state. So it was difficult to get in touch with her to try to get insulin. And really nice lady, helped us out for a long time. And so we lost our source of insulin now. So we had maybe 6 weeks worth left. And I'm calling up the insurance company going, look, we can't pay their silly deductible. We barely have money for food on the table. We get 1 meal a day for the past 5 years, most have had. And we've got to get insulin and the other prescriptions. And all I would get was, well, you have to pay the $1,500 up front first. And that was getting us nowhere. And so things were getting worse. And it was down to about a week now of insulin left. And I was calling up, getting angry at this insurance company. And finally, we were down to the last day. The last day my wife had insulin. It was a Thursday. And she was running out that day. And I called the insurance company up and I said, you people are nothing but a bunch of murderers. And I was yelling at them, I'm sure, and I didn't curse or swear at them, but I was quite angry with them, and I was in their face. And I said, you are killing my wife off. And, and I know I was praying that God provide something. And it's like, how are we going to do this, And so I told them, I said, she hadn't seen a doctor in 5 years. And so their response was, you're going to love this. After me yelling at them for a while, they go, well, has she had her yearly well woman exam? I go, what? He says, yeah, she gets a free physical once a year. I says, okay, we've been paying you people for over a year and a half. I've been begging you to see a doctor for over a year and a half. And now you tell us that we get a free physical? And I said, oh, yeah, I done. You don't have to pay the deductible or anything. You get a free physical. Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. How do we do this? What are we going to do? Well, you got to get your primary care physician. Okay, good. Who do we need? Let's find somebody. Okay. And this was a Thursday. Okay. Remember, I had nothing to drive there. But I just have to trust God to provide. Somehow we got to get her there. If I had to carry her on my shoulders like a sack of potatoes, one way or another, I had to get her to this doctor because we were running out of insulin. And I expected this doctor to write her a prescription for insulin when they got her physical. Well, God provided. This is where it starts kind of getting, you see the God providing when you really need it here. That was a Thursday. I called in. I found a place that was not too far away. They actually had an appointment that Friday, the very next day, which is really rare to have an appointment in a doctor's office without having to wait, from 3 to 6 weeks for an appointment. Got an appointment that afternoon. We had no ride, had no car we really could get there and in. And so I called over to this church. It was a church that had helped us out from time to time, but they had already told us that, we've helped you with all we can. We give you some money for food and helped you pay your light bill here and there and things like that, but there's just no more we can do for you. Well, I called over there anyway, and I said, look, I got a doctor appointment tomorrow. Is anybody at the church you could contact to give us a ride? Well, I was talking to the secretary, and the secretary said, well, I only work half a day on Friday. I'm off on Friday afternoon. I can take you. Wow, fantastic. Real nice lady, known her for years. So she came over 4 o'clock to pick us up. Well, like I said, just because you have faith in God doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. Well, my wife was running out of insulin. She was pretty much out of it, and her legs were now swelling up from being too high blood sugars and fluids building up in them stuff. So she she owns 3 pair of shoes and 1 pair of little old rubber flip-flops, thong sandals. So she went and got her favorite pair of shoes out, put them on the ground and stepped into them to go, and the bottom's literally the bottom of them just disintegrated into a pile of black, crumbly rubber. They've been sitting on the shelf for 5 years, not been touched. Well, rubber goes bad just sitting there faster than it does being used. Well, hers were gone. They were disintegrated. They couldn't even be worn. Fell apart. She got her second pair of shoes out, stepped into them, crumbled into dust. All you had was a leather top and no bottom on these shoes. Got her third pair of shoes, a ancient pair of tennis shoes she had had since she was in high school, I think. And she got these tennis shoes out, and they didn't fall apart, but the only problem was her legs and feet were so swollen, even with the laces out of the shoes, with them totally open up, she couldn't even get her foot down into the shoe. That's how swollen. So she had no shoes to wear. So she digs out her little rubber flip-flops, and she tries to get her toes in them and gets them on kind of halfway. And this lady picks us up, gives us to give us a ride. Well, just before she came over and picked us up, several hours before then, I got terribly ill. I have no idea what this was. It was something like a mega flu that hit me for 12 to 24 hours. High fever, coughing, sneezing, everything was draining. I could hardly see. Everything hurt, eyes, head. Oh gosh, I was one big giant infectious area. And so here I am going to be going with my wife in a closed car down there. So I found a surgical mask and I put that on so I wouldn't get everybody in the car sick. The wife's her immune system's already shot all to heck, and if she gets sick, could be deathly ill. Actually, could even cause her to die. So I'm riding in the back in the van, and my wife's sitting up front, far away as from as she can. And the lady that gave us a ride had brought a bottle of water, of spring water, just as a niceness. Here's something for you, because she remembered I was high fever and stuff. And here's something to drink. And I said, no, I don't want to touch it. Just give it to my wife. And I already had plenty of water and whatever. So my wife puts it in her purse, you know. So we get to the doctor's office, and this lady's going to drop us off because it takes hours at these appointments. You wait hours to get in, and who knows how long to see the doctor and whatever. Drop us off at 4 o'clock. My wife gets out of the van, and it was our appointment. We were right there on time, you know. And my wife didn't want us to be late, so gets out of the van and starts shuffling off because she can hardly walk in these thong sandals. She just barely got her toes in the beginning, into the front of the toes, into the front of the thong sandal. And I turned and paused to thank the lady for the ride, and I turned to walk up behind my wife, and just as I caught up to her, she trips and does a face plant right into the concrete, face first, hit right into the sidewalk. And I didn't realize what had happened because she didn't cry out. She didn't cry out, say ouch or ow or anything. I just saw her go over. It looked like she's leaning over, and I'm trying to help her up, and as I stand her up, it's obvious she's hurt. Her nose is all scraped up. It's smashed. She's bleeding profusely from her nose. Her glasses are all bent to heck. I didn't know it at the time, but it blackened both of her eyes. Poor thing is in tons of pain. And there was a lady standing close by, and she runs over. She goes, "Oh, nosebleed, hold your head back." And my wife's like, "No, leave me alone." Because she was bleeding just so badly out of her nose. She didn't want to get it all over her clothes. And so my wife had dropped her purse. Now, this is one of the things I love so much about my wife. Everybody else is more important than her. It doesn't matter. She would sacrifice her last bite of food if somebody else was hungry. I mean, just a little while ago, she loves barbecue. Oh gosh, she loves barbecue. And I went over, I was across the street, and they had this barbecue contest, and they had some samples. So I brought her home some samples of barbecue. Just a few little bites. That's all they give me for samples and a to-go thing. And I brought them home. The first thing she does, well, let's set some aside for James. Our son's here right now, happens to be here at home with us. And set some aside from him. Here's some for you, husband. And no, I don't need any. This is for you. You hardly ever get out. You eat it. No, she wouldn't. No, she wants to take care of everybody else. But anyway, back to the story. So here she is, all bleeding. She's trying not to drip blood on her own clothes and stuff, but it's dripping all over the sidewalk. And she says, "Give me my purse, my purse." And I'm thinking she wants a napkin out of the purse to cover the blood coming out of her nose. So I yank one out of there and hand it to her. She puts it in her face. She goes, "No, my water, my water." That bottle of spring water that the lady had given us, my wife had in her purse. So I give it to her thinking, well, my wife needs to rinse off her hands, her nose, whatever. No. She opens it up and proceeds to wash the sidewalk off with it. She's afraid she's making a mess for someone and going to cost someone else work. Using her only little bottle of spring water, which she may need later, to wash off the sidewalk. I said, "Honey, leave it alone. You don't need to do that. They got people who will clean this up. Get into your appointment. Oh, I don't want to make a mess. Don't worry about it, honey. The rain will wash it. Just get inside. Just about had to drag her to get her inside because she cares about others so much. Well, we get inside, and things continue to go downhill. We go, some nurse walks out, hands her a stack of paperwork to fill out, looks at her and goes, "Ooh, what happened?" And the wife says, I tell her, well, she fell down. I explain what happened. She says, "Oh, you ought to get some ice on that." Well, yeah, how about bringing us some ice? "Oh, I'll get you some." That was 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock, another lady comes out, not to bring us ice, never brought us any ice, to collect the paperwork. Now this may continue. This is sounding pretty bad here, but I'm going to get to the point here and show you how God does provide. Not everything is going to be perfect, So 5 o'clock, they come out to collect the paperwork. They go, "Ooh, what happened?" We explain it again. I said, "Oh, you need to go to the emergency room and have your face x-ray because you might have a broken nose and all this, that, and the other." I said, "Wait a minute. You're a doctor's office. You take care of her." And besides, we had no money for the emergency room, and this was a free physical. It's a doctor's office. "Oh, we don't do that here. We just do physicals and we refer you to other doctors." 5 o'clock, we go to the back to get my wife's physical. And she goes back there, and we sat down and talked to a nice young lady. She was not a doctor. We never, by the way, have never seen a doctor to this day yet from that office. And good old affordable health care, Obamacare, that we have here in the United States. It's a joke. Talked to the doctor for maybe an hour. Not a doctor, it's a physician assistant, nurse practitioner or something. Now it's getting to be about, I get about 6 o'clock. Well, they closed the office at 7, okay? And First Choice Care Clinic or something, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, they closed it at 7. And so at 6 o'clock, the lady that was there talking to my wife says, "Well, you need to leave, sir. We're going to do your physical on your wife." And my wife said, "No, he can stay." And she said, "No, we don't do physicals with anybody else in the room." And my wife said, "No, he can stay." And they said, "Well, we want him to leave." And my wife said, "He's seen me naked for 38 years. He can stay." And they said, "No, we don't do physicals with anyone else in the room. He needs to leave." So my wife is like, "Okay, I don't feel like fighting this. Husband, go outside and wait on me." Okay. If it was a female doctor, so at least I thought she was okay with that. So I went outside, I sat down. Now remember, they closed at 7 o'clock. This was 6 o'clock. Well, I'm out there. I got a big screen TV, Forensic Files or some movie playing that I've seen a zillion times, and I'm up there and I go to sleep, sitting out there in the lobby. 8:20, an hour and 20 minutes after they closed, I wake up in the lobby. All the lights are off. It's dark as pitch out there, except for a little glow from the window where you go for the receptionist that has a foggy smoke glass that you could see a glow behind. I'm over there and I see nobody moving. I go over to this key code door that goes to the back for the doctors, and nobody. And about then, some nurse walks out and goes, "Oh, what are you still doing here?" I said, "I'm waiting on my wife." He says, "Oh, is she still here?" "Yeah, she's still here." "Oh, really?" So we go to the back looking for her. Guess what? They forgot she was there. At 6:20, they finished her physical and then told her, "Well, we got to get some blood tests on you. Just wait." And left her in the room and totally forgot. She'd left her back there for 2 hours in the back room. Totally forgot she was there. So I find her. My wife's sitting there going, "Oh, can I come out now?" Like she's like, she'd have sat there for another 2 or 3 hours waiting probably. Only thing, she could have actually died in the room. Remember, she had no insulin. Okay? Do they care? Nah. Anyway, so I could get really going on this. So yeah, things are pretty bad right now, And so I take her out of the room and I said, "Aren't you supposed to get blood work, blood tests?" And they go, "Oh yeah, that's right." They forgot to do her blood test. So we take her around, we get the blood tests and stuff, and we get ready to leave. And I said, "Well, hey, we need prescriptions, and especially for the insulin." And they said, "Oh, we don't do prescriptions here. You'll have to go to your specialist." I said, "No, you don't understand. It takes 6 weeks to get a specialist, and we don't have money for the deductible anyway. She's out of her insulin. You need to write a prescription for your doctor." And he said, "Well, we don't do that." And I said, "No, you're not understanding me. We need a prescription. I will have a prescription. You're going to get my wife some insulin. Do it. Figure out a way." And so they went out and the insulin, there's like 10 different kinds of insulin, and only one kind my wife can use. It's called Novolog. And so they went out and they came back and they had a free bottle of Novolog. Come to find out that these pharmaceutical companies come by and they dump off samples of everything. Well, they had one bottle left. It was the exact insulin my wife needed. It was a free sample and we got it for free. So thank you, Jesus, for that. And sometimes you have to get angry. It's not wrong to get angry as long as you got the right reason for it. And doggone, I had the right reason. I didn't slug anybody and I didn't cuss them out, but I sure got angry with them and I let them know it. And they provided. It wasn't me that mattered. It was just so much as saying that, oh, big bad Jim here, I made him do it. But God provided somewhere in the past that someone would have dropped off one bottle of insulin they had left of the exact kind of insulin my wife needed, and they brought it out to her and she had her free insulin. So, but we went home and it was, we thank God that we at least got that. And we had other prescriptions we needed and things like that. We weren't able to get everything, but we were able to get, it was kind of neat because if you're looking back on it, God provided the appointment on the day that we were running out of insulin. They showed me how to get an appointment. We got it the very next day. We got a ride from someone that I had no idea we could get a ride on. They were off at the exact time that we needed to be able to go in. Even through all the stuff from our plumbing stopping up in our house to me getting ill to whatever, God still gave us the strength to get through. Because something, when you've gone through this for years and years and years, this beats you down, But it's something inside us, something inside in our heart that God puts there that strengthens us, that gives us that extra little bit of faith that, yes, it's tough times now, but we're going to get through this. I know we're going to get through this. And God always provides, So we got what we needed for the moment. And, I look at this as a blessing, God answering our prayer. It may not be the sky opening up and insulin lowering down out of heaven and a giant blinding miracle thing like that, but I appreciate any type of blessing we get. And, that God did provide a way for us to get what we needed to keep my wife alive. But, I'm making this video here many, many months after this all happened. And I got another one coming up right after this that I think you're really going to like because it's pretty amazing because it's got a lot more positive theme to it. But, even when bad things happen, God is there with you. He will be with you. He will never forsake you. He'll never leave you. Is all he asks of you is just to accept the one thing that he did for you, that he loved you enough to send Christ on the cross. He asks you to just have a little bit of faith that this really happened and that he loved you enough to send his only son, Christ Jesus, to take on all the sins that we did. Christ took all the blame on his perfect, he was the only one that ever lived a perfect life. Jesus was. And he took all that blame on himself. And then God said, look at my son here. He's taking all this because he loves you. He's taking doing obedient to the Father. He's taking on all the blame of all the world for all time. All I ask you to do, you as a human being to do, is just have a little bit of faith that he did this for you and accept it and do your best to change to wanting to do God's will. Because God's will isn't to whip you over the head and beat you in the line. No, his will is for all the things that will benefit you, to do good for you. That doesn't mean that you're going to be running around doing 27 Hail Marys every 15 minutes or something like that. It doesn't mean you're going to be going around, oh, great God, all that. No, he just wants to have a relationship with you. God wants you to just talk to him like I talk to you right now. Say, God, look, hey, having these problems. During this tough time, strengthen me. Show me how to act right in the presence of mine enemies and doctors and insurance companies. Seems like they're my enemies sometimes. So, but anyway, he provides. He does love you. He will help you through the tough times. Just first thing he wants to hear from you is that you accept what he did for you out of love. through his son, Christ Jesus, and that he does forgive, he will forgive you through that, just believing, and that he will have a perfect place for you in heaven one day. It doesn't even end. It just begins at the end of this little life. It just begins. So thank you for listening. This is probably my longest video, 25 minutes. But there was a lot, like I said, there was a lot of things that you might seem as negative, but God did provide in the end here for what we needed. And my next video, you're going to love. It is so cool. It's got all kind of neat stuff. So y'all have a wonderful day, and God bless you.